What's going on, guys? It's Adam A.K. Marf. Tonight, we are going to be talking about CMEs, solar storms, and of course, the shot over the bow that we just took at another country. We'll be right back right after this. You say you woke, but you're still dreaming. Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always consult with a professional. And, of course, the internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right. With that out of the way, my name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We've got a lot to cover in a short amount of time, and we will be taking calls. The number is 224-400-MARF. Of course, again, you can call that number, press option 4, and get a hold of Dex live tonight. So, again, we'll be opening up the phones here in a minute. You can try early if you would like. Thank you, Mickey the Iron Worker, for coming out early and supporting. Says, guys, don't forget Ebola Meteor from The Simpsons. They come together. I have to look at that one. I've seen so many Simpsons predictions. It's nuts. But I do want to remind you before the show, if you're new here or if you're ported over from the other channel, we actually back up everything we say and we make sure to put it on our website. In fact, every link, every tweet, every video that we put here, we give you access. You can actually follow along on a second device or a tablet, and you can actually follow on marfooglenews.com right with us. So I'm going to show you that here. I'm going to refresh myself. And it says truth about CMEs and solar flares. And then, of course, when you click on this, you'll see that we have done a bibliography of sorts of all of our sources. We've made sure to back up everything we say and triple check our work to make sure that we're not giving you false information. Again, we have a short list of basic sources that we use, and then world sources. We actually use VPNs to go outside of the country to get as much information as we can because a lot of it is filtered out, believe it or not. And then on the right side of the page, if you do want to support us, our PayPal is over there. Our affiliates like NordVPN and EMP Shield, that is all over there. And of course, our Amazon link. If you actually click that box before you go shop or do something, if you're going to buy a laptop or something like that, that would be awesome because it would give us a small commission and not charge you anything extra. All right, and then down below there is web-only content. This is Too Hot for TV. This is a lot of basically stuff that we can't touch without being cited on. We try to stay as neutral as possible, but also stuff that obviously right now the climate is not allowing many people to talk about many things. So, but we do get to talk about the stuff that really matters to me and the stuff that I'm passionate about, which is usually space-related or usually conflict-related, and that's something that I believe is going to happen at some point. That's in my innermost beliefs. So, again, we'll talk about that tonight. If anybody who has military in their family kind of thinks the same way, I feel like, and if they don't, then it depends on what rank that person is, because if you know high-ranking military officials right now, they are obviously, they're chomping at the bit to get into a conflict with somebody right now. So Dex, let's introduce Dex. Is my internet brother and my co-host. He will also be on the phones. He'll also be bringing in a special guest in just a minute here. What is going on, Dex, and how are you doing today?
Well, hey there, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we will have Wages rolled on. He follows every single day all of the stuff going on with CMEs, solar eruptions, solar flares. But first, we wanted to talk about, of course, a couple related articles here. All of these are today or yesterday. Now, mysterious heating of suns powered by solar campfires, study suggests. And it's funny because we can't even say certain words that mean beer or sun related things, but the temperature of the sun's outer atmosphere, the has puzzled scientists for decades, extending millions of kilometers into space, and is unimaginably hot, more than 1.7 million degrees Celsius. The solar surface, on the other hand, is a pleasant 9,900 degrees Fahrenheit, about 5,500 degrees Celsius. It says the difference defies logic. In most circumstances, material closer to the source of heat is hotter than anything more distant. Scientists have long known some unknown mechanism must be at play. It says now a new study has found that the heat released by the recently discovered campfire mini solar flares could be enough to sustain the enormous coronal heating. It says the research was presented at the European Geosciences Union, or the EGU, General Assembly on Tuesday, April 27th. Again, that was today, 2021, and accepted for publication in the Journal of Astronomy and Astrophysics. These studies use computer simulations to model emissions of energy from the sun, hoping to generate flares like those measured in reality by scientific instruments. As the team ran the simulation, they saw brightenings similar to scale to the campfires observed by the solar orbiter, said Professor Hardy Peter of the Max Planck Institute for Solar System Research in Germany. And it says that the scientists then looked more closely at the magnetic disturbances around 7 of the brightest simulated campfires, which were about the same size as the brightest events detected by the solar orbiter. It says that traces out of this magnetic field lines, allowing us to see the changes of the magnetic field in and around brightening events over time. Tracing these magnetic lines revealed that a process called reconnection seems to be taking place. Scientists hypothesize that magnetic reconnections trigger large-scale solar flares and mass ejections. The visible disruptions on the sun's surface occur when two magnetic field lines opposite direction break and reconnect, releasing a massive amount of energy in the process. Now, those are the things that we worry about because they could possibly head towards Earth and knock out our entire grid. They could knock out our entire infrastructure of power, electricity, devices. In fact, the Carrington event that happened back when we were doing telegraphs and before we had, such an amazing system, right, that we were all dependent on, it set telegraph lines on fire. That's how strong it was. And now the devices are actually more fragile than what they had back then, which was telegraph lines. DEX now are basically, they're still finding stuff out. They're every single day they're finding out more and more. You know, we act like we know everything now, but really we don't. And then it looks like Dex is getting.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry.
Go ahead. So
yeah, so you're talking about the campfires.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is we've got that probe going out there. We've had a lot of new information. All the new data that keeps coming in. So we're bound to find out a lot more. I think we'll probably find out even more this year and next year. Than we have. A lot of this stuff is interesting. And I guess the more we do outside of, our planet out into space, then the more we have to start thinking about what, the effects are of the radiation or the types of activities that happen from the sun in our solar system. I mean, we're talking about going back to the moon. We're talking about going to Mars. What are all those effects on travel and getting ships through that? And what do they have to deal with?
And of course, It says that the campfire is some 250 to 2,500 miles in diameter. Might seem large from the human perspective, but they're actually tiny compared to the better known but rare solar flares that cause magnetic storms on Earth, as well as the beautiful aurora borealis displays. Which again, a lot of you guys said thank you for sending over that Tyler video from Secure Team 10. Really cool shot there. I guess one of the supposed astronauts did a time lapse and was time lapsing the aurora borealis, but then caught these 5 dots that came out of nowhere. Even in a time lapse, it was like it just appeared. Pretty crazy stuff. It's like we're getting set up for some sort of huge huge fake event that everybody's going to go, oh, we all need to get in line. We're scared of the aliens. Mars-directed CME erupts from the sun. Now, this is recent. It says imagery from NASA's Stereo A spacecraft detected the CME erupting from the sun's limb. This coronagraph image blocks the sun's bright surface, the black circle in the center of the image, to reveal the sun's corona. And it says, or outer atmosphere. It says NASA's Stereo A and ESA, or NASA's SOHO spacecraft, detected the CME, or mass ejection, leaving the sun at April 17th, 12:36 p.m. The CME did not impact Earth, but did move towards Mars, passing the planet in the late evening and early morning hours of April 21st and 22nd. The CME reached Mars 2 days after the NASA's Ingenuity Mars helicopter became the first aircraft in history to make a powered, controlled flight on another planet, supposedly. Or in Colorado, wherever. NASA tracks such solar eruptions because solar eruptions can trigger particle and radiation events that pose a risk to astronauts and sensitive spacecraft electronics. As astronauts venture beyond Earth's protective magnetic field to the moon and to Mars, NASA's Moon to Mars Space Weather Office at NASA, Goddard Space Flighter in Greenbelt, Maryland, in collaboration with the Community Coordinated Modeling Center, tracks solar activity to give advanced warning to spacecraft and crewed mission. It says that the CME was a relatively slow one, traveling between 1.5 and 1.8 million miles an hour. That's slow, apparently, for a CME. 1.8 million miles an hour. It says it caused no issues for concern, and the Ingenuity team did not need to take any steps to protect the helicopter. Which you would think, you'd think this is NASA, so they would have some sort of protection built into that thing. But it says NASA will continue to include space weather updates as a factor when making decisions around our technology and one day astronauts on Mars. It's a crazy time that we live in, that we're actually talking about people on Mars. And of course, there are the critics and the skeptical ones, because honestly, none of us have been to space. Just as much, people come in and they, for whatever reason, those who do not believe in space or believe in a different shape planet or whatever you want to call it, again, the one thing that I don't get is everybody here, it doesn't matter, if somebody believes the complete opposite of us. In fact, we have a few viewers that they sit there and scream at their, YouTube, just like my grandpa screamed at the Rush Limbaugh on the radio. They hate to listen, but they listen because they want to debate, they debate me in their head or something. And I understand that, because I watch shows that I'm like, I disagree with the person, but I watch because it's entertaining. One thing I don't get, though, is why that community specifically comes in just throwing bows, just like super rude, saying these people are idiots, this and that. This person isn't this because they still talk about space. Yet that crowd goes into every space-related video there has ever been and comments on every last one of them. If you see something about space or astronauts going to space, there are those group of people in the comments who have watched that entire video because apparently it was entertaining to them, to comment that everybody else is stupid and to try to convince everybody of their view. I don't think it's the right way to go about if you did want to debate somebody. And I do like the comments where people say, here's a fun known fact. Why do planes take off in this direction and this and that? And give a little thing that, might put a seed in somebody's head to go look at your view. But the whole thing with like calling people names and idiots and all this, personally, I have never been to space, and neither have you. Almost guaranteed there's not a single astronaut watching right now, or a single person who's been to space. So it's kind of a null and moot point. So it's like neither one of us have been to space, so we can't really prove it. You can say you've watched a video on YouTube that took a camera all the way up there, but you weren't personally videotaping and sending that rocket up there. So again, who's to trust? The same way you don't trust those people with their, cameras, I don't trust those people with their cameras. So it's just an endless argument. But one thing I will say is I've always been interested in space. And if I do find out one day that it's all just one big sham and we're in a Truman Show, I wouldn't be surprised. And I have looked into it. But again, I like following this stuff because I really do think that it is going to either kind of make or break people. But it even gives more credence to, like, are we going to last that long? Because they say in the next couple of years, we're going to be having, space hotels. They actually have a gravity kind of wheel-looking thing that they say by 2026 or something they'll have in lower Earth orbit, and the rich will be able to go up and stay in there, and there'll be basketball courts with, no zero gravity dunking and all sorts of crazy crap. Are we going to see this? And if so, I guess that would put, some arguments to bed. But if we don't see this, or it keeps getting pushed back for 20 years, time is flying. We're going to see this. If we don't, then people will know, right? Then we can put it to rest. Or we get into some massive conflict and it sets us back to the medieval ages. Who knows? Somebody commented saying that, Marv, the sky is falling. One thing I will ask you guys that are still asleep, look around you. We're not saying that the sky is falling. The sky has already fallen. You can't go into a grocery store without covering up for a pandemic. You can't visit loved ones in the hospital that are dying unless you alter your body with experiments. There are more homeless downtown Seattle than in the actual homeless encampment and tent cities other places. This world is already on its way down. We've already seen the sky fall. So for those still doubting that something bigger isn't going to happen, I would say this is just the start. All right, and then we're going to get wages on deck. And by the way, thank you, everybody, for being here. Solar storm expert warns of radiation that can damage DNA and tech. It says, every so often, the sun releases a solar flare, which in turn blasts energy into space. Some of these solar flares can hit Earth, and for the most part are harmless to our planet. However, the sun can also release solar flares so powerful that they can cripple Earth's technology. Previous studies have revealed that the sun releases an extreme solar flare every 25 years on average, with the last Earth-hitting one coming in 1989. This storm saw power outages in Quebec, Canada, as conducting rocks on Earth can carry the excess energy from the magnetic shield and plow it into the national grid. It says on top of that, an intense solar storm can down satellite systems as the bombardment of solar particles can expand Earth's magnetosphere, making it harder for satellite signals to penetrate. Get this, though. It says now one expert has warned that space weather and the bombardment of radiation can affect the DNA of humans. Now, one piece of this, and I don't know, I don't think later on it mentions this, but the scientist that went to space, I believe he had a twin on Earth. Now, Dex, do you remember the story of the twin that went to space? And
vaguely.
And
I know. I've heard what you're talking about, but I don't know the details.
And I don't think it mentions it in here. I don't think it does. What's so funny is this is kind of, it's kind of crazy that this is coming out now because there were the twins, and one of the twins worked on Earth, and one of the twins was a supposed astronaut. Well, the twin that came out and spent all this time on the International Space Station, I think it was the guy who stayed the longest. I might be wrong. But they said his DNA had slightly changed, which I thought was pretty interesting. Now it says one expert has warned that this, of course, can affect the DNA of humans. Radiation can break DNA, which ultimately can lead to problems such as cancer. Rami Kwahali, professor of visual computing at the University of Bradford, wrote from the conversation, radiation can also impact technology and people. During strong solar radiation storms, energetic protons can damage electronic circuits inside the satellites and the biological DNA of astronauts. It says that passengers and crew flying over the North Pole would be exposed to increased radiation. These radiation storms can create airs that make navigations operations extremely difficult. Energetic protons can also ionize the atoms and molecules in the atmosphere, creating a layer of free electrons. This layer can absorb high-frequency radio waves, causing a blackout of high-frequency communications, also known as shortwave radio. It says, with our increasing reliance on technology, predicting the weather in space is crucial. It says that Professor Kwahali invented, quote, a system which has been used by NASA since 2011 to analyze latest satellite images and sunspots data to predict the solar flares. It says the system is known as an Automated Solar Activity Prediction, or ASAP. Funnily named there, and can make quick judgments on whether a solar storm is incoming. It says, understanding the complexity of sunspots will help us predict whether significant solar flares may happen. My colleagues and I developed a real-time automated computer system which uses image processing and artificial intelligence technologies to monitor and analyze solar satellite data. This helps predict the likelihood of solar flares in the coming 24 hours. So we wouldn't actually have that much warning before we get hit. Dex, let's grab. Yeah,
that's probably a great question for wages. Like, how long does it really take?
It is. And then first off, I just want to thank Mickey, the Iron Worker. Thank you for just popping in there several times saying hello. Marf with the super chat says, I saw a big ring around the sun today. Looked like a glare, like I was taking a picture, but it was so noticeable, like a rainbow. Actually, I took some pictures of the moon last night. I thought it looked like an eye, like the eye of Sauron or something. I'll post it to Instagram. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram and on Twitter, you can follow me at Marfugel. That's how you type it in, and it will pull up both. Mickey the Ironworker says, I saw you on Secure Team 10. Mickey the Ironworker, I'm assuming, make sure to let me know. You mean originally, like 3 years ago, right? And then Grim TV, Marf, your channel is awesome. Well, thank you, Grim. I appreciate that. It seriously is awesome. Thanks. Thank you for that. All right. Wages, do we have you on the line?
I think so, man. You got me?
Hey, how are you doing, Wages?
I'm doing good, man. How are you, bud?
So I'm good. So obviously you cover this stuff a lot more than us. So I think it's good to have you come on here because a lot of people were concerned in the comments last night or the night before, basically saying, this thing's coming at us. Should they be concerned or should they not be?
Well, for the most part right now, I think we're okay. We are going to get hit, and we've gotten hit. We've been in geomagnetic storm conditions, 3 days in a row. Just we would kind of sneak into it for a second and kind of drop out. So, yeah, right now everything's kind of minor, even with the geomagnetic storms. But what I think what we're talking about right now is like we were talking about CMEs. Now, I have to say this first and foremost. The sun is blasting CMEs multiple times a day right now. It's just they're not all facing us.
Yeah.
We had last week, there was an M1.1 flare that popped off the backside. It hadn't even crested the limb of the sun where it's facing us, and we still got an M-class flare from it. It wasn't even facing us.
So it was on the opposite side of the sun, and it still affected us.
It wasn't on the opposite. It was kind of on the side. It was still kind of behind the limb is what they call it, just kind of the edge of the sun. But it still blew off towards the backside. but we still got an M-class flare from that. If that had been facing us and it hit our detectors, it would have definitely been registered a lot more powerful. We just can't tell exactly how powerful it was because of that. We don't have the detectors out there.
Well,
we got satellites sitting in front of.
Well, let me ask you this: how much time do we have from when it happens to when it hits Earth? And is there anything they can even do? It's not like they can protect our grid in a day.
Yeah, and there's a good distinction to make here, is that there's a difference between a solar flare and a CME. Now, a lot of times they happen at the same time. Now, when you're talking about timing, if you get a big flare, a flare is here. The X-rays from a flare is here and gone in 8.5 minutes. So the X-ray from the flare, you're not getting a warning for that. By the time you know it happens, it's already hit us.
Wow.
Now, the CME part of it that blows off the sun is actually charged particles or plasma. It's charged gas, which is what plasma is. And it moves at different speeds depending on how big it exploded. And that is definitely a big thing. That's when we talk about, we always hear the Carrington event and the Canadian event that happened back in, was 89, I think, or 91 or something like that, where the grid went down up there for a minute. I think it was in Quebec. Those right there, those kinds of situations were caused from solar flares, but it was the geomagnetic storm part of it that actually knocked the power out. Okay, so that's where the big issue is.
Now,
you there?
Yeah, and as far as the solar flare and CME, knowing the difference, how does the government look at this, and are they saying that we are going to get one?
Oh yeah, I mean, actually, I'm not sure if I sent that capture to you. I think I might have. I think I sent a pic over to Dex for you. It shows you geomagnetic storm levels, and it tells you how often we see those in a sun cycle, which is 11 years. So that gives you an idea of how often they expect us to see these things. It surprises people to know that they expect us to have big X-class flares 3 times in an 11-year period. So, not necessarily that they're fired at Earth, but the sun will do that. And we've just been able to dodge it. It's really that simple. I think that one you just clicked there, that's actually the current one, if you still got it up. If you see the geomagnetic activity there on the bottom, if you still got that up, I'm sorry, my TV's on, but
I've got the one with the 3 layers, the solar X-ray flux, the solar proton. Should I pull up the other one first and then go to this one?
No, leave that one there. And if you go down to the bottom, the geomagnetic activity one there, you see the yellow bar?
Yes.
That's that means we were at a geomagnetic storm level 1. That's a KP of 5. We were in storm level at 3:00 in the morning on the 26th. So
wow.
That's what those are 3-hour time blocks is what those bars are. And it's UTC time, so you got to kind of, compute for that. But you can see how everything kind of dropped off. And that's because we're waiting on the next one to get here. That's pretty much what it means. Now, at the top, that's the X-ray. That's when you look at flares, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the flare. So you're looking at the X-ray. Now, if you want to know radiation, like you were talking about a minute ago, for radiation storms, you're looking at that middle one. Notice it ain't doing anything right now. And it's typically it won't. And it really takes quite a bit. And we don't get very many huge radiation storms. But I was listening to you talk about that last article there, and a lot of what you were saying is really more applicable to cosmic rays. Because when a cosmic ray hits our ionosphere, it splits off into subparticles. And the muons will get to us, and that's what makes us sick. So, but the what you were talking about with the astronauts and stuff, they don't have that protection of a magnetic field. They're out there with nothing. So that's the biggest issue. That's the whole reason we can't send a man all the way to Mars. They just wouldn't make it. It's really that simple. if they could figure out a way to, well, I mean, water actually is a great barrier for that. So, you know, there's a lot of technical stuff there we can talk about.
They're also talking about the putting in fact, that was just on a movie I watched with George Clooney. It was the one where he thinks he has a that a daughter or a little girl was left behind, but really it's his him talking to himself because he's the last person on Earth. But they show the spaceship of his actual daughter who's grown up and in the spaceship coming back towards Earth, and they don't know in the spaceship that basically it's a nuclear holocaust on Earth and everything's gone. So because they had no communication and they went off to Mars, they came back. And what's so funny is they talk about in that movie that they wrapped the whole thing with water. And there was another one that actually had it to where they didn't have drinkable water. And I think Space Force, the show with what's his face, the goofy guy, Steve Carell, that show showed it where they ran out of water, so they grabbed it out of the side of the ship.
Yeah, and that's you know, I really think that they're actually seriously trying to figure that out. You know, water is heavy, so that's probably the biggest reason they can't wrap a whole ship in it. I'm sure they're trying to figure something out. I don't have that kind of knowledge at all, but you know, we talk about, like we were talking about our magnetic field. Well, right now there's actually, I'm not sure if you talked about that earlier or not, but you know, we got the lander and stuff on Mars right now, and it's actually a big story right now that there was a CME blew that direction. Mars does not have a magnetic field like ours at all, not even close. So it's gonna affect that equipment. That's what they're afraid of.
So,
and that's a big deal.
We actually just covered that before the last one. I know that you were we pulled you in, I think, after that, but we covered that. They said so far they have no damage to the supposed equipment, but they're watching it because, again, exactly what it said is there's no protection for them there, and that equipment is, you know, obviously a lot of money just sitting out there.
Like, you know, even here, our satellites will experience what they call surface charging. And what that is it starts affecting the electrical components in it, and they'll have to reposition the satellites and things because it starts jacking with them really bad. You know, we try to keep the satellites, most of them are kind of as low as they can, so they're as far inside our magnetic field as they possibly can be. You know, the further up, you know, when you see, every once in a while you'll see they'll put out cosmic ray warnings. And you were showing that graph earlier with the geomagnetic storm level stuff there. When that stuff is low, if it stays on the bottom, we're at massive risk for cosmic rays because the sun actually helps protect us from cosmic rays. So we need a certain amount of geomagnetic activity to help block those things. So when we get real low, and stuff like that, they will issue warnings for people that fly, especially high latitudes towards the poles. And they'll also, you know, pregnant people have to really pay attention to this because if they're up there, it's essentially like getting an x-ray. And that's, you know, of course, you know, pregnant women don't need to be having x-rays if they can avoid it. So, you know, they actually, with the pilots, anybody that's a pilot out there knows exactly what I'm talking about because they actually train the pilots to, you know, about this. And it definitely is a big deal. It really is. And that graph you got up right there, that's the Discover graph. And if you look at the top line, and that is probably the most important one to look at. It is the red line there. It's called the BZ, and that's the angle of our magnetic field. When that gets to -6, it'll turn blue. And what that means is that our magnetic field is in such a position that it's allowing those charged particles to really rush into our system. That is the biggest thing. We've had CMEs hit us directly on, and because that BZ was at like a flat angle, it didn't even hardly bother us. We deflected it like it wasn't even there. It even actually helped fill cracks in, because we get cracks in our magnetic field all the time. People don't know that either. It's hard for people to kind of understand that if you don't, you know, do what I do, I guess. But it kind of surprises people to know that there's cracks in our magnetic field at all times.
Okay, well,
So anytime
let
we're
me
getting
ask you this: should people prepare as a precaution, and should people worry about this in general, or should they just say, this will never happen in a million years?
No, it will happen. It's not. I say this all the time on my channel. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. Even mainstream science will tell you that it will happen. In that one graph I sent you, I think it's the geomagnetic storm levels. It tells you how many we should. I'm not sure if I sent it to you or not. I probably didn't. But if you go to, actually, I sent you a link too that shows NASA's CME graph that shows you they're forecasting for CMEs that blow off the sun. If you wanted to pull that up and show it to them, you can show them that. The one that's showing it's getting ready to hit Earth, that actually just blew off the sun just a few hours ago. It's a filament. That's the other thing I was going to talk about. But anyway, as far as the preparedness thing, yes, most certainly. There's nothing that we can't stop this. There's nothing we can do. We have to prepare ourselves. And like we talked about before, you know, a CME, you might as well call it an EMP. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. The big ones, that's exactly what it is. But it's a global thing. It ain't being used as a bad thing for country against country, if you know what I'm saying. Conflict, I guess, is the word that we use. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I know that it's a hard thing for people to grasp and really think that it's really that serious. But if you go back and look at historically how many times these things happen, historically, just the data itself will show you that it happens. You know, people talk about the Carrington event, like I said earlier, but between the Carrington event and present day, we've had so many events that's happened that's knocked power out for months in certain areas of the world that nobody ever talks about.
And it's just until it hits something metropolis. When it hits a metropolis, just like tsunamis, they've had tsunamis other than India and the big ones, but they didn't hit people. You know, it's only a big deal if it hits the people. Well, once it hits an area and it really affects hard, say the United States or all of the UK or all of Russia or all of Australia or all of New Zealand, or you know, that's when people will start paying attention, and they won't learn their lesson, especially if they don't live there. It's always somebody else in the world. Like when Japan had their tsunami, everybody that didn't live in Japan, they didn't learn anything from that. They just saw it on TV and they put it in their brain just like an apocalyptic movie that's somebody else. It's not going to happen to me. And that's just not the way that we should think. And I almost guarantee that almost in every person's life, you are going to go through some major disaster at one point or another. So that's why we try to prepare ourselves, not depend on others.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wade, we're almost out of time here for the call, but
okay.
I wanted to ask you kind of a final question here. As far as you've kind of answered, really, this current solar storm is not so much something to be super worried about. Where can they find you, and how can they follow what you follow? Do you have any suggestions of how people can prepare themselves better?
Oh yeah, I mean you can visit my channel, Wages World. I show links every video. I leave links to all the tools. What you're looking at there, the tools there, the graphs and things, that's all real time. And it's a NOAA site. Some of them are NASA sites. Some of them are from colleges, but they're just simply that. They're real time data. And I suggest everybody really, don't be afraid of it. That's one thing I would say. Don't be afraid of it. You can understand it. If you click on it, a lot of times if you hover over something, it'll give you a description of what you're looking at. So, I mean, they make it really easy to kind of understand if you just take the time to really look at it and try to understand it just a little better. But if you don't have that time, I get it. I mean, you can come check out my channel. I try to do the best I can with updates and things like that. And I do explain things. I try my best. You know, sometimes it doesn't always work out. You know, I get it.
Well,
but you know.
So Wages, I love it, and I want to thank you for coming on today. But also, we will have you back so you can update people on further events. On top of that, I want to make sure that everybody makes sure to love Mob Wages. I know that a lot of you have already gone over there because we've had Wages on before. But Wages World is the channel. It does have Wages, no apostrophe, space World. Just pop over there. And then, of course, I like that you're kind of like the Dutch sense of space weather, because you are teaching people how to actually look at it themselves. You don't make them depend on you. But again, most people just want to go and check out what's going on from somebody like yourself, just the same way that somebody watches me to get all of their news in one place. So thank you, Wages, for coming on today. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, man, you keep rocking it. And like I say, I'm going to say one more thing, that those of us that are kind of smaller channels and things, we all had to help each other, but we can't forget to keep shouting out the bigger ones that brought us along. So, I've been trying to make a point to do that for people like yourself, because there are people that watch me that don't know you. And I think that kind of gets lost in the fold. I really do. So anybody that's out there that's been helped by Marf or anybody else bigger, continue to say their channel too, please.
Oh no!
I mean,
we gave somebody like gosh, why I don't know why I'm blanking. The NPC show, we gave him his first couple thousand of people, and then he went off on his own, and his work got him 80, 90, 100,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers. But again, those are all people that came to him, and that we helped him with the algorithm. And once he was in the algorithm, he took off. So I do appreciate that you guys do end up sending him back. We got to have Mark Pyers on too. He's a very talented man. I know that you guys are good friends. We've just been super busy. I've been a bit more busy with my kids than anything. But thank you for coming on, Wages, and I do appreciate you. Okay.
Yep.
All right. You have a good night.
Stay strong, brother. Everybody out there, be good.
All right.
Thanks.
Stay safe. That was Wages World. He's always a very nice guy, and he's always very informative. He always gets to the point about all of this. So thank you, everybody, for paying attention to that. From Canada, we've got Susan Mantha says, thank you for all you do. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here, and I really am thankful. Original Pilgrim has subscribed. I just saw that. What's funny is I saw your comment. I just happened to see your comment out of all the comments. Because the comments, we get thousands every hour, so there's 400 videos, and somebody could be finding a video from 5 years ago or finding one from now. But you commented and you said, hey, can I mirror this on my channel? And I was going to look at your channel and respond. One thing about mirroring is that you cannot just mirror exactly, because guess what? It can actually get me or you in trouble for duplicate info. They'll dink your channel or dink mine, even though I'm the one that is letting you use my stuff. If you do, as long as you use it in a good nature that's, not talking trash, and then 2, put in your own editing or commentary, so it is, technically that's your thing, right? That's what I would say. If you want to use a clip, make sure to link the original video and yeah. But if you're going to use it for negative purposes, then, of course, that's not okay. Thank you for asking, though, Original Pilgrim. And then Bacon Bandit, Pink Flamingo, thank you so much. Maddie's Mommy 14, so happy to catch you live. Thank you for everything you do, Dex Mods, and everyone else who helps with the Fugle Fam. So we're going to get into kind of more of the world stuff here in a second. But as far as kind of an update, if you tuned in late, this current solar storm is not so much to super worry about. But one thing I want people to understand is that we are going to be hit with a giant one at some point. And, as people say, the sky is falling. At some point, it very well could. If the United States and other countries do not get prepared for a massive CME, something that's just unbelievably big, then we're all going to be screwed, because it could take upwards of 18 months or 2 years to actually get our grid back going if we had a nationwide blackout. That's just here in the U.S. If the entire world got hit with one directly, we have no idea what the effects of that would be. Most people would perish because of the lack of access to water. They say just in the United States, if we have a full grid down situation because of an EMP or a CME, that, again, 90% of us would perish. And that is all due to water. So, number one, make sure to have water. Make sure to look at your local kind of laws or whatever, because I guess some places they don't want you to keep or hoard water or even have rainwater or stuff like that. So make sure you're doing it right. But I guarantee you can stock water up. You can, and do it right. Look up information on how to do it while you still have that. I would also, right now, while I've got your attention, I would also make sure to have physical books on how to survive off of foods in the woods, how to get water out of plants and things like this. Get that now, because there is not going to be a Google when this happens. When we do have this event, when we do have when the blackout does happen, no one's going to have Google. So you have to prepare now instead of later, because we know it's going to happen, or we think it's going to happen. So make sure to have your stuff now, not later. And then if you guys want to help support us, here's a big thing. You can actually protect yourself against, at least you can protect your devices. So if we do have an EMP or a CME, either way, you can protect your devices, your home, your generator, your solar system, so then you can get your own power back and going with an EMP shield. This company is the same company that T-Man signed that executive order, and they ended up calling these guys to help them strengthen our grid. They're not only working with agencies like DHS, DOD, but now they're officially on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. These are not just some thing that you plug in. This is an actual professional device. If you get it in your home, you're most likely going to need an electrician to actually put it in. As far as the car model, their most sold model, that somebody like me, I put it in 5 minutes in my car, and you don't need a professional. You can do it yourself. Solar system, the generator model, pretty easy as well. You can do all of those yourself. So I would highly recommend that everybody gets this. If you don't get it through us, make sure to look into it. But if you do get it through us, you will not only get our $50 off, there is only 3 days left. You can combine our $50 off, which we always get, with their awesome sale. Again, there's only 3 days left. marfugelnews.com/EMP. Again, 3 days left. All right, now that we've drilled that in, Dex, let's... we are opening up the phones. If you do want to call, regular callers can call in. I'm going to go into this article. Russia puts U.S. at the top of unfriendly countries list. Well, no duh. They actually, and we've covered that they've said they are accusing us, or at least parts of their government are physically saying that we have research labs on their border, on the border of Ukraine even, and that we are researching ways to hit them with bio stuff. I don't know if you guys knew this. So, one thing that I always see is that people say, well, you're saying Russia's the bad guy or this and that. I'm not saying anybody's the bad guy. I think that, personally, I think that there's just so much we don't know. There's so much going on behind the scenes that we will never know. And who knows who is the true bad guy here. Because the U.S. has taken out countries for even coming close to trying to take them out. Look at the countries that even tried to do anything that, threatened our currency. Gone. There's a lot of really dirty stuff behind any big country. Any superpower has done horrible things. It's funny for the current prez or any prez, including T-Man, to call Putin a killer, right? Because they are too. As a VP, I don't know if they make the orders on that, but most definitely as a president, he's already signed off on somebody's, getting taken out. And of course, that person that got taken out is in the newspaper as, a mystery accident or a heart attack or a stroke. Because the spy movies are, they're fiction, but the truth is actually crazier than fiction. We really do things like poison people and do all that kind of stuff. And so do they. As far as us being on their unfriendly countries list, it also makes me think, what if we have it all wrong? Maybe because I live in the U.S., I am so sheltered from the real truth that every other country sees. Maybe we're the bad guy. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying just keep your mind open. What if we do see them as a threat? They are teaming up and they have intel that Russia and China are going to do this new currency that's going to knock the dollar off, and they've already put things into play. And they have to take Russia and China now before they get too powerful and then take us. There's a lot of kind of seesaws going on, I think. And any military member will tell you right now that we are most definitely getting hotter with China and Russia. That is our biggest focus. Is it all part of the plan? I don't know. But what I would say is they will go to conflict. They don't care about lives. Because guess what? The people that are running this and get to decide this are going to be in a cushy spot or in a cushy plane 30,000 miles up sitting in a leather chair. They are not going to care about us. So I do want to say thank you to a couple people. Kelly2334, thank you, and thank you. Gone Girl 777. I am so sorry that you're having problems with DLive. That really unfortunate. I cannot do the subscribe thing. It won't work. But and N95 Hero, Hopkinson, D Watts, thank you. I did see up above, thank you, and thank you. Lisa K, 23. Thank you. Says, hi, Wages. Thanks for coming and sharing. Kelly2334 with multiple Ninja Guineas. Thank you so much. Lafer just followed. We've got Stage 7 just followed and immediately came in and donated lemons. That's amazing. Thank you. You don't have to do that, just to let you know. Maui Racing Realtor, Geisy, Bear Claws, Lady Wreck, thank you. Says, who needs that arm thing? I have Christ in me. And then we've got King Baez. Thank you for following. Lots of new followers. Joe, 1954. Let Him Guide just followed. Lots and lots of new followers coming in for some reason. I don't know if somebody's hosting, but thank you, whoever's doing that. Truth Wins. We've got QT Dippers, N. Sanchez. Thank you. And then, of course, shout out at Wages. He is 100% fire. Carolina Root 74 says. And then, sorry, Gone Girl, you're having issues with that. But it's nice to see you. Hopkinson, Big Hair Tsunami, everybody over there, thank you. N95 Hero is here. And then Empress 46, Diana, and Elv. Thank you, guys. I will. Thank you so much for saying that. So it says that the U.S. has been placed on a list of countries Russia considers to be unfriendly. Well, no Don't know why that sound came out of me. I'm going to go get checked out. Despite optimism of a summit between President JB and VP taking place this summer, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova announced over the weekend that the U.S. would be on the list following a presidential decree on April 23rd. In a graphic on Russia's channel, one headline says, list of countries unfriendly to Russia, the U.S. was at the top. It says also named were Ukraine, so the place they're trying to take, we're on top of them. Lithuania, Poland, Latvia, Czech Republic, Estonia, United Kingdom, and Georgia. Wow, we're above all of those. Now, Dex, you can pop in whenever you want. I know that you're dealing with the phones right now. Thank you again for lining people up. It looks like we have Lacey, a first-time caller, here in just a minute. And first off, Julie C., thank you so much for heading over to the PayPal during the show. I appreciate that. And then Tammy C., thank you as well. Thank you for the donation over there on PayPal. And then we'll get Lacey on in just a second. But, Dex, I do want to get your opinion on the Kremlin. It says Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters that the list had not been finalized, but that it was unaware if there was something regarding the deadlines, according to TASS. The list appears to be mostly symbolic, and consequences of being included on it are limited to Russian citizens being banned from working in diplomatic missions on Russian soil.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a no-brainer, as you said to begin with, right? Like, we would expect to be on their list, right?
I mean, I would think it was a given.
Exactly.
Well,
I would be like, who's your first person on your list if you're Russia? It's gonna be, it's gonna be the U.S. So who's the first one on your list for the U.S.? So it's gonna be Russia, right?
What were we there before though? Did they have a BFF list, or did they have a friend of me list? Like we were their friend of me?
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know if we were on this list 4 years ago or 2 years ago or a year ago. But
did they?
But yeah, it's sort of no surprise. But I mean, the tensions right now, and it's interesting, is you could probably look at administrations. The tensions before, the last administration, or at least going into that, election of the last administration, not the current one. There was like this whole tensionist thing built up about depending on who was going to win, whether or not we would be going into conflict with them. And now here we are with a new administration, and now the tensions are hot again. So no surprise that we're on their naughty list, but it also just sort of goes back to the fact that, look, who are they getting prepared for? Who does Russia prepare for every day? Us. And they don't just prepare to defend, they actually prepare offensively. So
that's right.
That should be very telling.
I just wonder if they're going to give JB the other half of the heart necklace back. Brandon Scott, thank you for your support there, and you can always write something. If you do a super chat, you can actually write a message, and I see it directly, so I always let people know. Old Ghost, truth.com or Raw News. I just read something on Raw News. I don't know why. Don't know what that was. Russian fleet holds naval combat exercises as U.S. Coast Guard vessel heads back to the Black Sea. It says that the Russia's Black Sea Fleet launched naval combat exercises on Tuesday as a U.S. Coast Guard vessel headed to the region at the time of heightened tension between Russia and the West. Moscow alarmed Kiev and Western capitals in recent weeks by building up forces along the border with Ukraine, though last week it ordered a withdrawal of some troops. It says Russia's Black Sea Fleet said on Tuesday its Moskva cruiser would hold live-fire drills with other ships and military helicopters, Interfax news agency reported. So, by the way, they said that they were pulling back, and just as we said, they said we would pull the people back on the exercise. It was not a full pullback. It was a partial pullback, and that same very day, I think it was the same night or the day after, they were shelling into Donetsk, or that was at least what was according to the locals there. So that wasn't a true pullback, and they left all of the vehicles there. As one of my friends said, who was in the South African military, they said it looks like they were putting it there for storage. So very well, they could be just, storing it there for later. I believe they're going to take Ukraine, and this is a big setup. Maybe something changed. What changed behind the scenes that, totally twisted this around? The same time Navalny goes off his hunger strike? It's just weird. And if you don't know the story about Navalny, I would highly recommend just typing in Navalny real quick, because he is the critic of Putin, and he was outspoken, and tons and tons of protests basically all lead back to him. So all the people that are like, hell no, we don't want Putin, Navalny is responsible for a lot of that, and they of course put him in jail. Then he went on a hunger strike, and he wasn't going to eat, and the world said basically if they let him die, then it's on like Donkey Kong, but without the echo.
You know what's interesting about this Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard ship, all the way over in the Black Sea? I heard about this through what's that, the live UA map or whatever. They were saying that a Russian ship was trailing a Coast Guard ship today, and I sort of wrote it off and said, it doesn't make a lot of sense. What's a Coast Guard ship that's probably doing drug running down in the south being used way over there? But then when this came out as the actual article, it doesn't say in here that it was actually being tailed, but it sort of gives credence to that sighting that was seen, that people were saying it was being tailed by a Russian ship during these exercises.
Yep, which we covered, and again, people were like, "Well, why would that make sense?" I think it makes perfect sense. This is a quote. It says, "The actions of the U.S. and NATO in the European region to increase the combat readiness of troops and strengthen their forward presence is contributing to an increase in military danger," Shoigu said in comments circulated by the Defense Ministry. That was, of course, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu on the Russian Ministry of Defense. And it said that Tuesday, Russia had not pulled forces back because of external pressures, and that Moscow moved troops around on its own territory as it saw fit. You caught that part, right, Dex? That they did not pull back because anybody was doing anything. They pulled back because they were doing exercises. So they left their stuff there. So they're claiming that basically, nothing changed in the background. I don't know, though. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments down below. What did you think happened? Do you think they had some sort of secret meeting? Let us know. And then we have Navy releases video of Iranian warship harassing U.S. Coast Guard ship in Persian Gulf. Now, let me, I'm going to put this on the small screen here. This is South Arabia. I am going to try to make sure this doesn't have. So, apparently, wow. Okay. So just to show you, and I know it's a little bit small here, but I want to make sure that an incredible near miss there. Two ships that were lining up, almost smacked right into them. So you can see that obviously they've got some water rage there, some road rage going on. It says on Saturday, the U.S. Navy announced that a group of Islamic Revolutionary Guard (IRGC) speedboats and larger support vessels swarmed two U.S. Guard vessels on April 2nd, maneuvering within 70 yards of the U.S. vessels in what the U.S. Navy called unsafe and unprofessional maneuvers. The I vessels reportedly harassed the U.S. vessels for around 3 hours, all while ignoring warnings blared from the U.S. vessels. The Navy has since released a video of part of the encounter showing the larger IRGC vessel, the Shahid Naziri, designated with the U.S. and the Hearth, cutting in front of the U.S. Coast Guard, Manamamoy. So they went right in front of them. They were basically... It was like that, it's like when you're in the parking lot and you see somebody in a Pinto just waiting there for you to pull forward, and they just want to hit your car and go, "Oh, my neck. Oh, my neck. Oh, it really hurts. I hit you going 4 miles an hour. Oh, but my children's children will be hurt from this. Can I have your insurance?" Never happened to me, though. Twice. In other news, a plug for NordVPN. I hope you guys are protecting yourself. Make sure to go check out NordVPN. It is one of the best virtual private networks out there, and it's one of the easiest to use. But even better, though, it helps us protect ourselves. Again, we are a completely independent news agency. Again, we depend on your guys' support. We do not have a multi-channel network. We do not have a team of lawyers. So if you want to protect yourself against cyber threats and hide your IP address, not get data logged, and be able to use your cell phone, your tablet, your computer in any public place with any Wi-Fi, say at Starbucks, and not worry so much, then I would highly recommend getting NordVPN. You can go and use the special savings code MARFUGL to get a gigantic discount on top of helping us as well. Go to marfuglnews.com/VPN. Again, that's marfuglnews.com/VPN. All right, Dex, let's get Lacey on. It looks like Lacey is, let's see here, from Florida. And, well, actually, it looks like you switched them around there. Who do we want first? Do we want Giant?
Let's get Giant real quick, and then we'll go to Lacey.
Okay, perfect. Ooh, it looks like we've got some videos here. And all right. Giant, you're live on Marfugl News.
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
Hey, how are you, Giant? So
how are you?
Giant Tyrant.
I'm doing pretty good.
Okay, so what are we looking at?
I got those SpaceX patches for the launches. They have like a different patch for every mission. I sent some pictures to Dex for the link for the pictures.
Okay, and
they're the first one was.
It's a video of pictures, correct, Giant?
Oh no,
there's two
those
videos
are
and one set of pictures.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The pictures are just the patches. The first one I wanted to show, the main one was the one with the ring in the middle of it, and it has the description next to it. It's got like in words that describes what the patch means.
Okay, it says keep it secret.
NROL 108 patch description.
Okay, that's creepy. Looks like some Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah. That was on a launch that was like 3 days after the eclipse that we had in December of last year. We had I think it was a total solar eclipse on like December 13th.
Okay, so this was actually on a launch, and then what is this? Like
this launch happened 2 days after the eclipse, but this was the patch for that launch, and it's just really creepy what it says in there, and just the wording, and they use like inscribing from Lord of the Rings, but it has the all-seeing eye. And
no.
It's almost like the eclipse.
So this is like the Eye of Sauron, the Lord of the Rings, and it even says this. So I'm going to read this description real quick. This is a good catch here. It says the NROL, the gold ring in the center signifies the rocket and payload that we wish to keep secret, and the all-seeing eye represents the capabilities the payload will give to the United States. The elfish characters in the yellow circles are an inscription of the dictum, one satellite to rule them all, one satellite to find them, one satellite to bring them all, and in space bind them. In the outer black ring, the two organizations, NRO, and by the way, nobody talks about the NRO, that's crazy, and SpaceX, responsible for the launch, are named on the sides, while the top and bottom is the range's motto for this mission: keep it secret and keep it safe. That is freaking weird.
And they even called it Elvish characters. They called the print writing Elvish. And I don't know. It looks like the eclipse too, where the moon and the sun, and then like a big planet behind all that, like planet, the letter X-ray. I can't say the.
Thank you for saying that.
Say
No, I gotcha. That's weird.
Yeah, and then the other patches are really weird too, but I couldn't find the description on them. There's one that says psychedelic research crew on the Falcon Heavy, That one looks kind of weird too.
What in the world? This one's got Medusa on it with like a Nordic princess with an owl eye. It says Vanderberg. Wow. Okay. So, and then let's check this other one out. This one is Mali Nuncum Prevelubunt with some sort of knight there with, of course, a family crest. And then let's see here. What's this other one? Psychedelic Research Crew.
Yeah, and they do these patches for every mission. Every time they have a launch, they make up a different patch that has all these symbology to it, and everything on the patches has a different meaning towards their mission and what they're doing.
Maybe Space Force is like the show. Maybe they've got some sort of Steve Carell running the show.
I know, it's that one with the Lord of the Rings really just, I don't know why they're tying that to this. And then they also said it's going to give the government, the United States, the capability of the all-seeing eye. It's like in that movie with the Dark Knight when Batman had the echolocation through everybody's cell phone signal.
I've talked
and
about
the frequencies. He was able to see the whole city.
Yep. In the movie, they go, "Should you have this?" And he goes, "Probably not," or something. They go, "Isn't this kind of messed up?" And he's like, "Yeah." Something like that. That's what I was talking about the other day.
Yeah.
It's scary. And this is the description. Just to read that one more time, it said the one satellite to rule them all. One satellite to rule them all, one satellite to find them, one satellite to bring them all, and in space, bind them. That's not some that's not some Dr. Seuss stuff. This is like some real stuff. Freaky.
Yeah, that's been. I've been trying to call in about this patch for a little bit. This was back in December during the, like I said, the eclipse.
That is creepy.
And then the other stuff I have is the videos on the YouTube links. Those are just exhaust trails from. I took video of the rocket launch also, but afterwards I took some like still shot frames and put it in like a slideshow and of the exhaust, how it makes like exhaust plumes, and it's making these weird shapes you could see in the video when you turn it on. But it's almost like there's something up there. It's reacting with it in the sky. And there's one that was like, it almost looks like a musical note or like something in a drop of water, like how when you drop something in water, it makes like different wavy patterns and stuff.
I get what you're saying. You're in Florida, right? So you get to actually witness this with your own camera.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm right in front of Vandenberg Air Force Base right now, and I'm about to watch a SpaceX launch too. Oh, I've actually got a cop pulling me over right now.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, beaches are closed.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I was here to watch the SpaceX launch, and it got canceled.
Oh.
There was one at 12:05, and I just checked the Twitter feed, and it got canceled.
Even if it was going up, I would still just say that.
Yeah. I'll get out of here. I didn't know the beach was closed. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, if the launch still goes, I don't care.
It's tomorrow. They said it was going to be tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was going to go up, I wouldn't care. Just
yeah. I'll be here tomorrow, but I won't come here. I didn't know this was closed.
I wouldn't tell you not to. I'm not working tomorrow night.
Okay. I don't want trouble. Yeah.
So if you're just like, hey, I'm here to watch the launch, they're more than likely not.
Yeah. So. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was closed. I didn't see the sign.
Make sure to tell them thank you for your service.
Yeah.
So it's my most of the time. We just come out here and just, hey, beaches are closed. That's it.
Okay. All right.
Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your service, sir. Thanks. Wow. I'm right in front of Vandenberg Air Force Base, and that wasn't even a cop. He was a military. He was all
up. Oh, even better. Well, what a cool guy, though, too. Obviously, you're there, and you right off the bat said, hey, I'm here to watch a SpaceX launch, and they just canceled it. So, well, Giant Tyrant, we're gonna send people over to your channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know I've taken up quite a bit of time. I didn't know were you able to show any of that the exhaust trails.
Yes, we looked at all of them, and you keep getting those context on your videos. You really got to watch what you say because those trails
I
that
wrote
basically
exhaust
blocks your
trail
channel. Once
from
you, but by the way, once you do so many of, once Wikipedia puts too many of those on there, your channel's dead. So make sure to be careful with what you say on there or how you put them in the titles. It's mainly your titles.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the plumes, if that's working for you, but
Yeah.
they'll mark you.
Plume must be a work.
They'll mark you permanently, or at least semi-permanently. Well, thank you,
Wow.
Giant. I do appreciate it.
Mark Fugel, is that first Mark Fugel live call where someone was getting pulled over?
I absolutely can 100% say that was the only Marfugel call getting pulled over. And the cop was super awesome. Didn't even ask you for license, registration, or anything.
It might have smelled like I went to the dispensary today too, so I was a little nervous about that.
Oh no!
I got my medical card and stuff, so it's all legit. But still, I don't want to have trouble with that. Not at the Air Force Base.
No, you do not. Well, Giant, it was a wonderful experience. That's great. We might clip that. Thank you, Giant, and make sure to go over and check out Giant Tyrant. This is his channel. He's also going to be linked on the website. You can go to marfugelnews.com and find Giant Tyrant right there. In fact, it's going to be updated within about 5 or 10 minutes. Dex adds it to the website live. So if it's not there, then it will be. That was Giant Tyrant out of Florida, and he's got a great video here talking about the, of course, Starlink and the stuff coming out of it. All right, and then we have to move on here. We're cutting close on time, so we got to get out this. U.S. fires a warning boom at a gunboat in the Persian Gulf. So same thing here, but they actually did report that they actually fired a warning shot here. So it says that the U.S. Navy fired warning at the Iranian military boats in the northern Persian Gulf on Monday. The first such escalation in nearly 4 years, the Pentagon announced. So again, this was something that has not happened, kind of like some of the other things we report on that happen all the time, like Russian jets getting chased off or something like this. This was pretty close. It says the incident marks the second known occurrence this month of an I vessel harassing U.S. ships after a group of IRGC Corps Navy fast attack craft swarmed the two U.S. Coast Guard cutters at close distances in the Persian Gulf on April 2nd. It also comes just weeks after the B admin and I had begun talks on reviving the 2015 nuclear deal that the former President DT abandoned in 2018. The American withdrawal sparked a sharp escalation of tension between Tehran and Washington that culminated in the U.S. killing of Major General Qasem Soleimani. So, by the way, first of all, if you... they said that part of that is what culminated in the killing of this Major General Qasem Soleimani. If you remember, T-Man came out in public and said that their intel said that Soleimani was planning something that made 9 of 2001 September look like chicken feed. And they took him out, and they were supposed to take him and his second-hand right-hand man out. And they missed the right-hand man. So Soleimani, with that drone strike, they got him. The second-hand man, the one that was literally his right-hand man, he survived. So we have no idea what that plan still is. They say that it was so horrendous that they had to take immediate action. Dex, do you remember covering this and T-Man coming out and saying that? I mean, like, that's pretty scary. Nobody talks about the fact that the second-hand man is still running around. I think it's pretty reckless for for them not to push and cover all of that, but whatever.
Well, yeah, that is pretty scary, Adam.
The Book Nook, and then we're seeing all the hacking, solar winds, everything else that's going on. There's definitely something big that's going to happen, and it's just a matter of time. Space Force and Paul and Close Encounters and SG-1 are true, says Kishara. Kishara, thank you for popping into D-Live. Book Nook, Jen B. Cox, thank you so much. Lisa K. Hi, Mrs. Marf. Love, amazing mom. Well, hey, thank you for saying hi to Mrs. Marf. And then keep putting out great content. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, everybody that's over there. Chance Paladin, D. Waltz, Carolina Roots, Crazy 27, Chewy Weather, thank you. And then Ranger Bob Country Living says, Adam and Dex, thank you for everything. Our channel supports you and helps get new folks to prep, grow food, and be self-reliant. We will always continue sending folks your way. Thanks. Ranger Rob, I always appreciate you, and again, I didn't even have to ask. You ended up doing a video that still shows up in search, saying thank you for our shout out or whatever, and I really do appreciate you, Ranger Rob, and I think that you're a professional. I mean, your voice sounds like you're straight on you are a radio person, so I am rooting on your channel as well. I think that you are extremely talented and should be bigger than me. Old Ghost, thank you as well. Everybody that popped in there on the Super Chat, I appreciate that. All right, Dex, do you want to go over the 10 strange weapons invented during WW2? I kicked you off on this, and then you went down a rabbit hole. I don't know if you guys remembered, I talked about the bat booms, which was an experimental weapon that was in World War II, and they were going to use it against Japan, and basically it was a container that looked like a boom, the big thing they drop. It had a parachute that would release at a certain height, and it had 1,000 compartments with 1,000 Mexican hibernating bats. And these little tiny bats were then outfitted each with an incendiary timed device. So say after 25 minutes, it would go off and it would set on fire. Of course, hurting this little bat, but it's a weapon, right? These bats would be dropped at sunrise, and because they need to find home before the sun goes up, they quickly go to every crack and crevice, and they particularly like any kind of wood, dark area, so they go into attics, and they go into the little air holes, they go in and they hide. Well, then the incendiary booms go off and light an entire city within 50 miles. All these fires just start out of nowhere. And once the bats are on fire, they're discombobulated, so it starts a chain reaction. The bats go from one building to the next on fire. This is actually what they tested, and in the tests, that's exactly what happened. They never used it, but this was just one example of the craziest stuff that they used or designed during WW2. Imagine what they're going to design towards the next one. Dex, pretty crazy rabbit hole here.
Oh yeah, it certainly is, Adam. And you could probably skip the first one, but all of them on here are really good to just get a glimpse at some of the craziest ideas. And actually, some of them are very innovative and things that we're actually doing today. I'm wrapping up with another caller real quick. I'll jump back in if you want to just get started. You can skip the first one, but all of the rest of them are great.
So the Goliath tracked mine. It says in 1940, the Wehrmacht recovered a strange remote-controlled prototyped vehicle from the River Seine. Designed by the French designer Adolphe Cagrès, this prototype inspired by the Germans to develop their own remote-controlled vehicle, primarily as an anti-tank weapon, the result of the Goliath tracked mine. A 1-foot-tall, 4-foot-long tracked vehicle that could carry around 132 pounds of high explosives. Steered remotely, it could be driven beneath enemy tanks and detonated. The Goliath, however, had a number of issues. The remote control connection was achieved via a 22,132-foot-long cable between the vehicle and the driver. It said enemy soldiers quickly learned that they could neutralize the Goliath by cutting the cable. It was painfully slow at just 6 miles per hour and a woeful ground clearance, meaning it could easily become stuck, and was only covered with thin armor. Nevertheless, the Germans produced 7,500 Goliaths and used the weapons in battle during the Warsaw Uprising on the beaches of Normandy. Have you ever heard of this? I didn't. I haven't. But I just think of this. I think of the tractor scene from Austin Powers. Just this guy driving the boom and... Oh no, the bomb is coming. Oh, it's turning. It's gonna get us. I think you get the point. Fugo balloon bombs. Japan came up with the nefarious but quite ingenious plan to drop the booms on the U.S. using a jet stream over the Pacific Oceans. They launched paper balloons carrying explosive devices which would float silently across the ocean to their enemies. Instilling fear and panic in America, that was the plan anyway. They launched the first balloon on November 3rd, 1944, and it estimated that between then and April 1945, about 1,000 I think it was F-U, go, balloon bombs reached North America. After the war, records uncovered in Japan revealed that some 9,000 were launched in total. Despite so many launches, only one resulted in the loss of human life. Oh my gosh. And it was a pregnant woman with 5 children. Wow. That's pretty horrible. 4 is, of course, what I talked about, the bat booms. And you can see here what their kind of idea was, is the bats would fly into the attic of a building. And then, of course, exploding rats. Wow. Pigeon-guided rockets. This was another one that I actually covered on a previous episode. Project Oricon. Pretty crazy stuff here. Pigeon-guided rockets. And then, of course, we have the Windkanone. The numerous Nazi Winterwaffen. Wait. The Winterkanone of the numerous Nazi Winterwaffen. Wonder weapons developed during WW2, the Winterkanone, or wind cannon, was only one of the least successful. Rather than launching flak or other projectiles at enemy aircraft, this strange cannon was designed to disrupt low-flying enemies with a blast of air. Basically, this was a professional poof. 9. It didn't hit. 9. The hair went like this on his forehead. That's all. He lost a hat. The Krumloff, the ability to shoot around corners without breaking cover, offers obvious advantages. With this in mind, the Germans developed the Krumloff, a bent barrel attachment for the Stromger 44 assault rifle. They made 2 types, one for infantry use and one for firing from inside of armored vehicles. The infantry model had a 14-inch barrel with a 4-inch straight barrel, a 5.8 curved section, and another 4.5 inches. So actually, I've seen this, and they have these they still have these. They're still playing with the concept. It's a weapon that basically can go around corners. And the ones today even have video cameras. So your special forces, you put it out there, they can shoot as much as they want. It might hit the barrel, but you have a camera on the end of it so you can see where you're aiming and where it's going to go. And then, of course, it fires around the corner without risking the life of the person firing it. Pretty crazy. This has been around for a long time. And then the Bob Semple tank, not to be confused with the Bob Newhart tank, which actually was the spinoff where Bob Newhart was a soldier. The Bob Semple tank is often regarded as one of the worst tanks ever built, but has a certain merit for at least trying something, anything, in a bad situation. During WW2, New Zealand became increasingly worried about the potential of a full-scale Japanese invasion, in which New Z would be pretty much on its own and cut off from the Allied assistance. And without the means to produce armored fighting vehicles, it would be horrifically outgunned by the Japanese war machine. Enter Bob Semple, NZ's Ministry of Works, who came up with the plan, the creation of a domestically made tank using the chassis of a conventional 6-ton bulldozer. Semple oversaw the assembly of a fleet of 81 D8 Caterpillar tractors, which were then encased in a few sheets of corrugated iron. Offering very little protection to the 8-person crew inside, 6 7.62 millimeter Bren guns were attached to the front, rear, and sides of the vehicle, resulting in an ungainly mobile pillbox that moved just 14 miles an hour. Thankfully, the Bob Semple never saw combat, and it's now remembered with some affection. However, as the spirit in which it was created has gone away, offset of its reputation as quite possibly the worst tank ever made. Yeah, New Zealand didn't see too much battle. In fact, I think one of New Zealand's first actual battle was where they got put in with NATO, or the Battle of Jadotville, I believe, and they actually did an amazing job in that, even with no previous fighting experience, or at least they say that's how it went in history books. But yeah, that's pretty bad. And then Private Ernest Crocker, a chemist who had worked on developing poisonous gases for the military, was recruited for a foul-smelling task, the creation of a military-grade stink bomb. The plan was to supply the stink bomb to the French resistance, who would then use it to spray German officers to embarrass them and in turn reduce overall troop morale. You smell like fart. I want to give up. 9, you can't. Smells like poo 9. And then, of course, we covered this in our show earlier, but the NASA is to prepare for a hypothetical asteroid impact with simulation this week. On a serious note, I really firmly believe that they have a date and a time that we are going to get hit with something. That's my personal thought. I think that with everything that is out there, I think that they are obviously and visibly preparing to try to knock one out of the sky or to redirect it. Now, who knows? Maybe it's not as urgent as we think. Maybe it's in 100 years, but it will destroy Earth. Or maybe it's in exactly 6 years or 7 years, 6 years or 9 years, whatever it may be. I don't know. But I think they would know. And guess what? They're not going to tell the public. People go, I track all of these and I watch it every day and there's no thing that's going to hit us. They're not going to tell you. And when they do discover it, they're going to keep it under lock and key. And anyone who discovers it until then is going to be approached by the government and saying, oh, you were incorrect. And we've even had people that have come forward and basically said that they've discovered basically impacts with Earth, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we made an error, and now there's peer-reviewed results that say they're not. And then you look at the peers and you're like, oh, those are hired by the U.S. government. That's kind of weird. Just saying. And now, this week, NASA will start preparing the possibility of an asteroid hitting the Earth in the future. Asteroids have hit Earth before. In the video above, you can see a 200-year-old crater in Quebec. Another such impact in Mexico wiped out the dinosaurs way back then. But is there anything we can do now to protect our planet? NASA seems to think so. An asteroid will hit Earth again someday. This is certain. In an effort to prepare, NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office will conduct a tabletop exercise of how they will handle an approaching asteroid. It says on Monday, the hypothetical asteroid will be discovered and additional information will be determined, and the team will make decisions, carrying out a true simulation of a real-time potential asteroid impact scenario. So will the humans be able to save ourselves from a potential asteroid heading for the Earth? We'll find out soon. Later this year, NASA will launch the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, the DART, which will impact the asteroid Dimorphos in the fall of 2022 with the intention of changing the asteroid's orbit in space. Put it down below right now if you think that DART is actually going to hit its target and redirect it. Furthermore, I would say in the chat, press 1 if you think that the simulation is going to fail, or 2 if you think that they are hypothetically going to save Earth. It's just my experience. I'm going with 1 because we have failed almost every simulation so far around this subject. All right, Dex, let's get Lacey on if we have her. Looks like Lacey, first-time caller. Let's see here. And then we have an article that goes with this. And Dex, if you can, let me know that you're still there.
Yeah, I'm here, Adam, and Lacey should be live now.
Okay, perfect. All right, Lacey, you are live on
Mark,
Marfugal News. Who's going to talk
Hello?
first?
Not gonna hear me?
Blah, blah,
Okay.
blah, blah, blah.
All right. Yeah, I was just calling to kind of shed some light on what's going on in Louisiana right now. April 13th, there was a Sea Corps vessel that capsized in the Gulf of Mexico. There was 19 crew members on board. 6 of them survived. 6 were confirmed dead, and 7 are still missing. The U.S. Coast Guard actually suspended the search and rescue last Monday. So we have a nonprofit organization called the United Cajun Navy and other volunteers. They stepped up, and they've been searching for those 7 that's been missing. They actually found some life jackets and a bottle of water yesterday near the Vermilion Bay, and they're needing volunteers to help search the Vermilion Bay and, find the 7 guys that are missing. Also, they have, they're asking for donations to help fuel the boat and the seaplane that they have. And you can go to www.thecajunnavy.org or text the UCN 2021 to 44321. You can also donate that way. But
Well,
we're just trying to get those 7 guys home to their families,
Well, that's very sweet of you. So now let me ask you this: Did you know somebody that was on that boat, or were you just particularly?
Not personally, but they do have one guy that was from my parish.
See, I think that we've looked into moving to Louisiana. We just feel like over there it's a lot different. You guys really, this is something that you just don't see in, say, LA or California, or especially Seattle. Somebody is touched by the story so much that they want to get this information out there. So if you heard her information or not, we will make the available. We'll make the information available for you guys if you have any information on these 7 sailors, or if you live in this area and you want to help, or if you want to donate to their cause. We will make all of that available on our website, marfugalnews.com, under Lacey's call, and then you can actually go and check this out. This is really, really sad, and I'm not even going to say anything because I don't want to put anything negative out there about this. It's very, with things washing up, of course, people are going to think the worst. But we've seen survival stories with longer time periods. Who knows? Those guys could be on a piece of wood and, be grabbing fish to survive or whatever. We don't know. So I'm praying for them.
Let's see, that's what they were saying. One of the life vests, they had the beacons on the life vest that was actually cut off. So there's a little bit of hope thinking that they might be somewhere lost in the marsh somewheres, and they just need to find them. So,
do you think that they did send that as a message?
It was pray. So.
Do you think that they sent that beacon as a message, or?
Well, the beacon was missing from the vest itself, so they could possibly about to cut it off, and when they made it to land, just say they, dropped the vest and they cut the beacon off to kind of give some type of signal or something. But
yeah, that sounds like
know.
That sounds like it was on purpose. Well, Lacey, thank you, and it sounds like you have a heart of gold, and I appreciate your call, and we'll try to help any way we can.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That's probably the sweetest call ever. You can tell she just genuinely cares and wants to help get the word out about these 7 men that were lost. I can't imagine having any of my family members out on a boat because think about it. If they were never found, the family members of those people, they'll never get closure. And there would be something in my head saying that they're alive, that they're somewhere out there, that they're surviving on an island. And that would just never close. I'm sure that there are tons of people with family members that are, working in the crab trade or something else where their ship sinks and they have no guarantees that their family members are either they have perished or if they're alive. That would be absolutely horrible. Obviously, the odds are that they may not be, but there's no guarantee. Let's get Steve on the phone, Dex. Steve also is a... wait a second. I don't think he is. Steve is a Wisconsin native. And...
Hello.
We've got some stuff that some sensitive stuff here. So what's going on?
Hi, Marv, Adam. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just found out there's many things that we're not allowed to say. So I did give a lot of good information for Dex, and I'm going to have to learn how to get to the site to see the links and stuff, but I gave Dex a lot of the information. One of the things I just would like to say is the Bible's true. I'm not allowed to say that.
Well, you can. The percentages. It actually does.
Yeah, but it's been... Go ahead.
Well, we're okay with a lot of that, but if you do percentages of it, they'll mark you in any direction. And once they mark you,
wow,
there's no going back.
Okay.
I have friends that learn that the hard way. So let me try to talk about this. It says, yeah. Basically, all presidents have been in the society that lays bricks, and of course, I don't know though. I think there's at least one president that wasn't, right?
Well, actually, he was to get elected, but then he turned code on him.
Huh. And then, as far as Russia, China, and the I country, is it your opinion that they are already in the third conflict and they are going to take us out?
Yeah, the bricklayers have put out a thing, and Dex has a link.
Okay, I see exactly what you're talking about. We've talked about this before. Albert Pike in 1871 wrote this, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But here's the thing also. It's also in the Bible, in Daniel, and in also Revelation. But am I allowed to talk about that? Well, it talks about the lion, the dragon, the bear.
Yeah. The
lion, the dragon, the bear, and the eagle's wings are in the book of Daniel. But if you go to the book of Revelation, it only shows the bear, the lion, the dragon, and the leopard, but it doesn't show the eagle's wings. That means the eagle's wings have been clipped. Yeah, that's the site right there. Yep. But it's there's a 3, yeah, exactly. It's going to be 3, conflicts. And they've all come to fruition.
Well, and then, again, this is something that I think most of us see.
But that's not the actual link on the site. The actual link on the site actually shows the letter by Mr. Bricklayer that shows all 3 of the conflicts that are going to happen. And he wrote it back in 1871.
Here we go. I think this might be it. Either way, what we'll do is we'll link this so everybody can look into this. We've actually linked the Albert Pike stuff before, and we did do a show a while back that people can link to. It's definitely not something that we can fit into a 5-minute call, but here's what we can do. We can let you know as the watcher. Albert Pike, back in 1871, wrote this whole big thing about this. We're going to link that so you can easily go and find it. And then the website that he's talking, libertyforlife.com, you can go and check out all of this, and it basically in that first page goes over everything. And then on top of that, where should they start in the Bible if you wanted to go tell them?
It's in the book of Daniel. You'll see in the book of Daniel, compare it to the book of Revelation. In the book of Daniel, it shows the bear, the lion, the eagle's wings, the dragon, and the leopard. And those represent different countries. You can imagine who the bear is. You can imagine who the dragon is. You can imagine who the lion is. And the eagle's wings. So that would be in the book of Daniel. And then in the book of Revelation, the eagle's wings aren't there.
That's very telling. Like the bald eagle of the United States. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then the book of Enoch is true, and the way you would know that is if you go to the book of Jude, which is the book right before Revelation. If you go to the book of Jude right before Revelation, it says, Jude 1:14, it says, and Enoch, the seventh from Adam, the seventh, because there's two Enochs. It's the seventh from Adam, not the third from Adam. The third from Adam is not the Enoch of the Bible. The Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied. So Jude, who's a brother to James, who's a brother to Jesus, prophesied. So he calls him a prophet. The book has been removed. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Excellent picture. Yes, sir. You got it. They represent tribes. Ephraim is the lion, and Manasseh is the eagle. Those are two tribes from the 12 tribes of Israel, and those are there you go. That's the dragon. Yep, and there's the bear. Yep, you got it.
Yeah, it is so incredible.
And the leopard represents one of those the conglomeration of Middle Eastern countries. I hope that is allowed.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a conglomeration of those Middle Eastern countries that are now they've been immigrating into different countries here, North America, and so forth. And they're kind of locked and loaded, ready to get their bell to ring and do their thing.
It almost looks like,
again, back to the book of. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mark.
I was just going to say it almost looks in the picture that I have here that the bear has the maybe feathers in his mouth. Just a cool picture. Oh, that's okay. Never mind. 3 ribs, and then of course the dragon with 10 teeth. Got it.
Yep. And the book of Enoch is also true too. And it says, you know what's the first line in the book of Enoch? It says, the book of Enoch is for a remote generation when the ungodly and the unrighteous are going to be removed.
Well, there's most definitely a lot of that that is going to happen. I don't doubt you, Stephen.
Yes, sir.
It's definitely something that we won't be able to fit into today's show because it is definitely a longer than a 5-minute call. But Stephen, it's your first time call. You can call back and we can continue this conversation.
I don't know if, I think if people will go to the links that Dex asked for, here's the thing, we can't be lazy. We have to look at these links and we have to do our homework. I didn't just get all this information in 5 minutes. It took me some things months, some things years to understand. You have to pray and ask the Holy Spirit John 14:26, to teach us all things. There's a lot of deception out there.
You're absolutely right. Well, I thank you for your call, and again, thank you for the links as well. We're going to check them out. I have not seen the second website that you shared, so thank you.
Yeah, and one last thing. The Book of Enoch, Jesus Christ quoted from the Book of Enoch at least 12 times. Whoops, did I say something wrong?
No. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think I don't know if Enoch is one of the bad words, but we've definitely said that enough. Either way, you guys, you get why we do what we do. Again, if we do a 2.5 hour show and one word takes the value out of the entire thing, that's pretty rough.
Yes,
but
sir.
yeah, I understand.
So I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to go so I don't mess everything up.
Oh, you didn't mess anything up.
Thank you for your time,
Stephen. I hope you call back again.
Thank you for your time. Okay.
All right.
Well, I don't know if I can because I like to talk about controversial topics, and I don't want to mess up your site. And I thank you for, Adam, thank you for talking to me. But wow, tell Dex thank you for putting those links up.
Okay,
really,
and then hey, by the way, Stephen, the website that Dex sent you,
sir.
that has, you can talk about anything you want. Again, people say, oh, they censor themselves. That page we sent you has a substitution for every single word. So once you have that page, we can talk about anything and everything. And the codes are not that hard to follow. People say that, but again, I know that you didn't have a issue. You had an issue just getting it. But again, call back, Stephen. I'd love to talk to you again, and thank you so much. And your opinion is appreciated. Thank you so much for the suggestions. All right, that was Stephen, first-time caller. I always make sure to give first-time callers more time. But again, we have a substitution website that we send every caller, so they can pretty much say anything and everything. It's just may be substituted. Yeah, we made it pretty easy actually for people. But when they call in, we send them a link to their phone. They can click on it, and then it has every word, so they can scroll through. And if they have a word they want to say, they can just go click, and figure it out. And you guys have already figured out all those words. Anybody who's been on the show for a long time, you guys already know. All right, Dex.
Yeah, hey Adam, Stephen was a great call. I didn't tell him we couldn't talk religion, but it was interesting because he was so funny. We were on the phone talking for a long time. It was just like every word out of his mouth. I'm like, no, you're gonna have to be careful with that one. You have to be careful with that one. You have to be careful with that one. And he was getting a chuckle out of it. He's like, I couldn't believe how many of these words are the actual ones the algo is looking for. And yeah, it was pretty funny. He's a great guy. Okay. We got a lot of information. And by the way, there was one thing you didn't even mention, and I know he couldn't have brought it up, but there is a video, and Adam, you and I talked about it off air. That's going around, and if you haven't seen it, you really need to see it. It's about what's going on, very relevant today to everybody personally. So you should go look at it. It's on the site. It will be there. It's already loaded up.
Oh, so did he actually mention that in his call, or did you tell him about
He mentioned it in his call, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw that today. That was a great video.
You were just telling me about this video.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. All right. That is cool. By the way, yeah, there is we basically have to fight just to get info out. I hope you guys understand that. Because if we don't, we disappear. They go, oh, well, you should just go out all, guns blazing. Well, guess what? Then we're just gone. What good would we be just gone? I don't get the people's logic. They go, well, then you have no dignity. You should. I guess you need to switch places, because if you don't have an audience, then what is the point? I don't get it. I guarantee the people would switch around right away if they reverse their spots. We have made it through so many different things. We have gone on this roller coaster for 3 years now, and by being careful, we've seen all of our friends just whoosh, gone with the wind. And we've also taught half of our friends how to do the same thing. If you notice, we're not the only channel, but we were one of the first. We were one of the first that made up codes. and we'll be one of the last. All right. Dex, you put together an amazing, including the video that we're talking about. You have to go to the website for that. Go to marfugelnews.com. It's free. Again, all the web-only content, that's just there for your entertainment. It takes time to put it together, so make sure if you do find value of it, please make sure to give a like to this video. Make sure to share this out on Facebook. It's a long video. Just tell them, hey, this is a long show. Just put it on in the background. Listen to it. I guarantee you'll find something that you could relate to. Or if not, something you can yell at and push the dislike button. Remember, the dislike button super helps our engagement. So do comments. So even if you don't like the show, make sure to dislike it. Thank you so much for all of the dislikers out there. To my haters, I really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those dislikes help us more than you know. So I'm just very thankful for you. I am so thankful you don't like me. I just really appreciate you. Thank you. And you just keep it. The dislike is the gift that just keeps giving. Thank you. Dex, thank you, my brother from another mother.
That's awesome, brother. Great show. And just heads up, everybody on YouTube, you got about 4 minutes, and then the after party will stay on D Live.
D Frustrated, 1 Adam 12, thank you. Sounds like Killdozer made the debut. Meme Man 1984, thank you for hosting with 7 viewers over on D Live. I really do appreciate that, Meme Man, and I don't forget that kind of stuff. We will make sure to host you back. And then Lisa, happy and angry, wide awake and angry, I think. Mrs. Marf, Crop Duster, Blowtorch Barbie, Stiletto Czar, Melanie, Texas TW, thank you. Pepper, thank you so much, everybody there. Barcode, Groovy Grandma, Johnny Fry Guy, everybody that's there, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you guys. And then, let's see here. Brandon Scott, thank you tonight. Susan Mantha, Pink Flamingo, thank you for your support. Keith Dyke, thank you from Canada. Thanks for the support over on Super Chat. Faithful Prepper, can't thank you enough for all you do to bring us such important information. No problem. And then James Fox, thank you for the massive support tonight. Old Ghost, thank you as well for the massive support. Ranger Rob Country Living, Old Ghost, if you do want to get in, you got to get in right at the beginning of the show. Again, make sure to hit that number the second I announce it. And then, of course, you can always do 2 phones and things like that. That's what most people do, just like a radio station. List appears again. Thank you so much. Make sure to go over to the website. Now it is time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Have a good night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Guys, don't forget Ebola, meteor from The Simpsons. They come together. Mickey the Iron Worker. The quote of the day. You say you woke, but you're still sleeping.